Thank you. Next, we will continue with the Philippines National Anthem. Operator, the time is yours.
Mga kababayan, ang pambansang awit ng Pilipinas.
Kayang magiliw, pero sa sinakanan, alam ng puso, sa titik mo'y buhay. Lupang hinirang, kuya ka ng magiting, sa mandulupin, di ka pasisingil, sa nagagang tutok sa simoy at sa langit ang pagaw, ay hinatang tula, kawin sa pagkayang minamahal. Ang isang ng matawad mo'y tagumpay na nag-iindig, ang bituin at araw niya kailan ang may di magdidinig. Luman ang araw ng walhabit pagsinta, buhay langit sa piling mo. Ang hindi kaya na pagkay mga api, ang mamatay ng dahil sa'yo.
Thank you, everyone. To seek blessing for our webinar, we will begin with a prayer. The prayer will be led by Muhammad Yusuf from Biology Education Study Program. To Yusuf, the time is yours.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, before we proceed to the next item on the agenda, let us bow our heads for a moment and pray for guidance, wisdom, and success for today's program. Let us pray according to our respective beliefs. In the name of God, the most gracious, the most merciful, Lord of the world, we praise you. We seek your help and your forgiveness. With gratitude and humility, we gather today as we begin this international webinar 2026 on the theme Games as Innovative Tool for Teaching Science. O God, the most gracious and most merciful, we are grateful for your gifts and blessings that have brought us together today, transcending national, cultural, and institutional boundaries, strengthening the bond between Faculty of Teacher Education, Mulawarman University, and the University of the Northern Philippines in a shared commitment to advancing education. With this webinar, may it serve as a source of knowledge and strengthen our bonds of friendship for the advancement of education. O God, bless this gathering. Make it a gathering full of grace, which gives birth to useful knowledge, meaningful dialogue, and creative ideas, and applicable strategies in improving science learning through innovative and enjoyable approaches. O God, grant wisdom to our speakers, insight to our participants, and openness to every mind present here. Strengthen our partnerships, bless our collaboration, and guide us to use knowledge for the betterment of our students, our institutions, and our global community. May today's event run smoothly, productively, and successfully from beginning to end. We place this event under your guidance and protection. Amin. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you, Yusuf. Now, we continue with the report from the Chair of the International Webinar Committee, Dr. Abdul Hakim MPD. To Dr. Abdul Hakim, the time is yours.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good morning, everyone. Honorable Dean of the Faculty of Teacher Training and Education, Mula Warman University, Professor Dr. Haji Susilo, Honorable Dean of the College of Teacher Education, University of Malang, Philippines, Dr. Teresa Susan L. Mansano, dear speakers at this event, dear faculty members, and our esteemed webinar participants. Praise and thanks be to God Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala. It is by His grace that we can gather in the virtual space in good health to participate in this webinar. As the chair of the organizing committee, I would like to welcome and thank you all for your presence, as well as fellow participants. This webinar is collaborative between the Faculty of Teacher Training and Education, Mula Warman University, and the College of Teacher Education, University of Northern Philippines. Another ongoing collaboration is the C-Teacher program. This program has been ongoing since 2023 until now. Today, this webinar aims to provide insight into the use of games in learning, especially in science education. Therefore, with the theme Games as Innovative Tools for Teaching Science, we hope the participants can gain valuable insight and apply them to their respective field. We would like to express our deepest gratitude to all those who have supported this event, especially the Dean of the Faculty of Teacher Training and Education, Mula Warman University, and Dean of the College of Teacher Education, University of Northern Philippines. The speakers who have kindly shared this knowledge, and our fellow committee members who have worked hard to prepare of this webinar. Finally, we apologize for any shortcoming in this organizing of this webinar. I hope the person enjoyed the event. May it be beneficial and contributes significantly to our development. I think that's all. Thank you. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you, Dr. Abdul Hakim. We will now proceed to the welcome speeches. The first speech will be delivered by the Dean of the Faculty of Teacher Training and Education, Mula Warman University, Professor Dr. Susilo MPD. To Professor Susilo, the time is yours.
Thank you, the moderator. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good morning, everyone. Good morning and warm greeting to all participants, distinguished deans of the Teacher College of the University of Northern Philippines, Dr. Teresa Susan. Welcome to this webinar. Sometimes we have to invite you to Indonesia, to Samarinda, Dr. Teresa. And all the faculty members, Pak Dr. Abdul Hakim, the head of the Department of Mathematics and Science, Ibu Nurul, as the PIC of the program of C-Teachers program, and respective speakers of these webinars, and dear all teacher students it is both an honor and pleasure to me to welcome you all in this webinar. Today's gathering is not only actually merely an academic event, but it is also an intellectual meeting and cultural meeting. The points where we can share ideas and share aspirations and share cultural things together to build a mutual exchange, an international exchange. And I believe that by having such kinds of programs, we will have some international and global insights for our students, because I would like to emphasize that such kinds of program is actually parts of the visions of Mulawan University to have more international recognitions. So today is one of the programs of the C teachers, as mentioned by Pak Hakim, that we carry out this program about 4 years more. And it is a good program, a significant program for our international recognitions. Of course, the purpose of the international recognitions is to strengthen our mutual cultural understanding, something like culturally responsive education that we built in Bulawan University, especially in teacher training and educations. And we also would like to, to embrace innovation from Asian universities. So our students should go benchmarking to some universities in Asia, especially as Southeast Asian. That's why C teachers is very important. And we also would like to, to have more cultural exchange between students of Mulawan University and students of University of Northern Philippines. Of course, this will give our students, or equip the students with more global cultural understanding, in which these kinds of concept will be very significant to our students in the future as a teacher, or as a, this teacher to be, because to be a future educations, I think we have to be globally recognized, and we have also to have more international benchmarking, so that we can have more insights with our friends, our brothers and sisters in Asian countries. On behalf of the faculty, I express my sincere appreciations to especially the Dean of the Teacher College of the University of Northern Philippines, and all the students who gathered in this webinar. And I also express my thanks to the organizing committee, to distinguished speakers who have generously shared their expertise with us today. Thank you all, especially for the head of the department, Pak Hakim, and Bu Nurul, Bu Nurul and Bu Husnul, as the PIC of the C teachers, and dear all participants. Thanks for the events, and should I declare, Bu Nurul, this conference, or?
Iya, Pak.
Okay. Okay, by having these events, Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. We together state that this webinar is declared to begin or to open. Thank you. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you, Professor Susilo. The second welcome speech will be delivered by the Dean of the University of Northern Philippines, M.A. Teresa Susan L. Manzano, EDD. To Dr. Manzano, the time is yours.
Distinguished officials of Mulawarman University, particularly of the Faculty of Teacher Training and Education, headed by the Dean, Dr. Professor Sosilo, MPD, and other members of the faculty and students, of course. And of course, Dr. Nurol, who had been our partner in the Sea Teacher Project, which started 3 years ago. Good morning, ma'am. Dr. Joinel T. Marzan, the program head of the Master of Arts in Teaching Chemistry, other faculty members of the university who are with us, graduate and undergraduate students in science teaching of the University of Northern Philippines, honored guests and speakers, friends, ladies and gentlemen, good morning and welcome to this International Webinar 2026 Series 1 with the theme Games as Innovative Tools for Teaching Science. It is both an honor and a joy to open this meaningful academic gathering where passion for science meets the power of innovation. In today's rapidly evolving landscape, we are challenged not only to teach science, but to make it come alive. Science is discovery, science is curiosity, science is experimentation. Yet, in many classrooms, it can sometimes feel distant, abstract, or even intimidating to our learners. This is where innovation becomes essential. Games, often seen as tools for entertainment, are now emerging as powerful pedagogical instruments. They cultivate curiosity, critical thinking, collaboration, creativity, and problem solving, all essential skills in scientific inquiry. When learners engage in well-designed educational games, they do not merely memorize concepts, they experience them. They test hypotheses, they make decisions, they analyze outcomes, they learn through exploration. This webinar series brings together experts, practitioners, and advocates who believe that learning science should not only be rigorous, but also meaningful, interactive, and enjoyable. Today, we recognize that play is not the opposite of learning. Rather, it is one of its most powerful forms. As we begin this series, may we remain open to new ideas, inspired by global perspectives, and encouraged by innovative practices that can transform our classrooms. Let this be a space where theory meets practice, where research informs innovation, and where educators empower one another. To our distinguished speakers, thank you for sharing your expertise and insights. To our participants, thank you for your commitment to professional growth and to improving science education for your learners. To Mulawarman University, thank you for partnering with us, the University of Northern Philippines, and we look forward to more activities such as this in the future. May this international webinar series spark fresh inspiration, foster international collaboration, and strengthen our shared vision to make science education engaging, accessible, and transformative through innovative approaches such as game-based learning. Welcome, everyone, and let us begin this journey together. Thank you and a pleasant day to all.
Thank you, Dr. Manzano. Thank you for the inspiring speeches. We will now have documentation and group photo sessions. May I kindly ask all participants to turn on their cameras. Please smile and look at your camera. Slide 1. Next, slide 2. Slide 3. Slide 4. Slide 5. Slide 6. Slide 7. Slide 8. And the last slide 9. Thank you, everyone. Now, we move the main agenda, the theme, games as innovative tools for teaching science. We will have 2 seasons with different topics. The first season from University of Northern Philippines and second season from Mulawarman University. From the University of Northern Philippines, the first topic is lesson study in chemistry, collaborating to enhance learning, one game at a time. Now, I will introduce our moderator for today, Joynil Timarzan, PhD. Joynil Timarzan holds a PhD in Science Education. He is currently program head of the Master of Science in Teaching Chemistry and Physics at the University of Northern Philippines, and a visiting lecturer at the Science Louis University School of Advanced Studies. His research interests include professional development in science education and inquiry-based teaching practices. I would like to invite our first moderator, Joynil Marzan, PhD from the University of Northern Philippines. To Joynil Timarzan, PhD, this session is yours.
Good morning, everyone. Am I audible?
Yes.
Okay. Once again, good morning and welcome to the session titled Lesson Study in Chemistry, Collaborating to Enhance Learning One Game at a Time. In this presentation, we will explore how chemistry teachers can enhance student engagement through collaborative lesson study and purposeful game-based learning. Our speakers will discuss how educators work together to design, observe, and refine interactive chemistry games that spark curiosity, encourage active participation, and sustain learners' interest. You will also hear how reflecting on student responses and classroom experiences helps teachers continuously improve their strategies, creating more dynamic and engaging chemistry lessons. For this session, we have two speakers, Ms. Kathleen Rafanan and Mr. Calvin Salaño. Kathleen Rafanan is a licensed professional teacher specializing in science education. She is currently pursuing Master of Science in Teaching Chemistry at the University of Northern Philippines and serves as a lecturer at the University of Northern Philippines Department of Mathematics and Natural Sciences. Her current research interests focus on the adaptation of STEM models in higher education. She will present a lesson study report on developing board game for teaching trends in the periodic table. Meanwhile, Sir Calvin Salaño holds a doctorate degree in educational leadership and management and is also a licensed professional teacher, specializing in biology and chemistry education. He is presently enrolled in the Master of Science in Teaching Chemistry at the University of Northern Philippines and serves as a special science teacher at the Science Department of Sinait National High School. His research interests include innovative practices in high school science instruction. He will present a lesson study report on developing a card game for teaching ionic compounds. Ma'am Kathleen, you may now start your presentation.
Okay. Good morning, everyone. So let me just share my screen. Oops, I'm sorry. Wait lang. Okay, so can you guys see my screen?
Yes, we can.
Okay. Okay, so once again, good morning, everyone. Salamat tinggal. And I am Kathleen A. Rafanan, and I am a science educator at the University of Northern Philippines. And I am really, really excited to be here with you today. And just a little bit nervous, but in a good way. Okay, so as teachers and even our audience, practice teachers, student practice teachers, we all know one thing for sure. No lesson ever goes exactly as planned. So sometimes we prepare something amazing, really, and the students look at us like, Ma'am, sir, ini maksud niya apa? And that's okay. That's okay, really, because teaching is not about perfection. It's about progress. So, pelan-pelan tapi pasti. So, slowly but surely. Okay. So today, I will be sharing our lesson study journey, how we planned together, taught the lesson, reflected honestly, and yes, that's the humbling part. So revising and then taught it again. And through that process, we developed a more intentional way of integrating games into the 7 E's instructional model, not just for fun, but for deeper learning. So, all right, let's get started. Okay. Let me ask you something. Have you ever played a childhood game and learned something without even realizing it? I bet you did. And that's the heart of this presentation, really. Today, I'll share how lesson study, collaboration, and a simple board game transformed how we taught chemical patterns and how our students experience learning chemistry. Okay? So for our outline for today's session, first, the research lesson where we identified our real classroom problems. Second, the lesson study process, our cycles of planning, teaching, reflecting, revising. And the third one is the output, a game called Trendy Adventure. And then the last one, finally, our reflection, what we or I personally learned as an educator. Okay, so we started with a common concern that many educators share, and that is on low student interest, minimal engagement, and weak learning retention. Our students were present, yes, but not always mentally present. And in chemistry, especially with abstract topics like periodic trends, passive learning simply wasn't enough. So we ask ourselves, how can we make patterns in chemistry visible, interactive, and most especially meaningful? So our team then designed a research lesson. We carefully selected an approach, and that is on game-based learning anchored in inquiry principles. Okay. So some of the core details includes the content standard and learning standard that is anchored in the K-12 curriculum guide of the Department of Education here in the Philippines. Other details includes the school to conduct, the grade level, and their sections. So we can see in the presentation, we have here cycle 1 and cycle 2 that I will be briefly explaining a bit later on. Okay, so in cycle 1, we have an educational institution that is on St. William Institute, targeted on the grade 11 STEM students. And cycle 2 is another educational institution. It is on the Divine World College of Vigan, again targeted on grade 11 STEM students. Okay. So the lesson study focused or involved 2 cycles. Okay, the first cycle includes, as we can see the icons here, we have 4 phases, namely plan, teach, reflect, and revise. And the second cycle includes 3 phases anchored on cycle 1. So these are teach, reflect, and revise. So let's tackle first, or let's discuss cycle 1. Okay. So before we ever step into a classroom, we began with planning, and not just planning in the traditional sense, but intentional collaborative planning. So as a team, we first ask ourselves, what exactly do we want our students to understand? Not just what we want to teach, but what we want them to truly learn. Okay, so then we set our goals for establishing our research lesson. Then together we selected a specific approach for delivering the topic. So in our case, we chose, as what I've mentioned a while ago, that is game-based strategy, grounded in inquiry. So that decision was not random, it was based on the problem we wanted to solve. And that is on, again, low engagement and weak retention. From there, we collaboratively designed the lesson plan. Every activity, every question, every instruction was anchored on our research focus. And then finally, we developed the instructional materials needed to bring the lesson to life. So planning in lesson study is powerful because it is never done alone. It is a collective thinking, collective decision making, and collective responsibility as well. Okay, next. So after collaboratively designing, these are the evidences that we have in our first phase, or the planning phase. So we have here the acid plan for our first step. And then the second step, we also have here the designed lesson plan and the designed instructional material. Okay, so now let's move on to the second phase, and that is on teach phase. So after collaboratively designing our research lesson, we move to implementation, also known as the teach phase. So one of our team members delivered the lesson while the rest of us observed carefully. We paid attention to the students' reaction, movements of confusion, levels of engagement, and how clearly the concepts were understood. So the entire session was recorded, And this was important because sometimes we think that what happened in class is different from what actually happened. So the video allowed us to revisit key moments objectively. And after the implementation, evaluation forms were given to the participants. Their feedback became our data. Their experiences became our evidences. Okay, so again, this is our photo documentation for the first step under the teach phase. I'm sorry. So this was done again at St. William Institute in Magsingal, Ilocos Sur. So it is an educational institution. Next, we also have the observation sheet. So this is done by the lesson implementer and even us, the observers. All right. So let's move on to the next phase. Now we move on to one of the most important phases in the cycle, and that is reflection. So after the research lesson is observed and evaluated, the results are shared with the team. The team reviews the evidences and engages in a focused discussion, so often with a knowledgeable author, to examine what truly happened in the lesson. What worked? What confused the students? What did or where did engagement peak and where did it drop? So this isn't about fault finding, but rather it's about insight finding. So from that collaborative reflection, the team then identifies specific areas that needs strengthening. Okay, so clear, concrete actions are then agreed upon to address the weak points of the lesson. So with feedback from the peers and a knowledgeable author, so in our case, it was Dr. Joinel Marzan, we revised the lesson intentionally. Not emotionally, not defensively, but again, intentionally. Okay, so again, this is a photo documentation of our collaborative discussion with the team taken by our knowledgeable author, Dr. Joinel Marzan. Okay, so this is the lesson form or the reflect phase form. It was filled in by our lesson implementer as well as the members or the team. Yes. So it includes different questions specified for our lesson implementer and specified or targeted for us observers. Okay. Now we move on to the revise. Yes. So after reflection is we have the revision or revise phase. So after identifying the areas for improvement, the team doesn't stop at discussion because action needs to take place. Action needs to take place. So based on the agreed points from the reflection phase, the research lesson is then revised. So adjustments are made with intention. So if you have noticed, I have give emphasis on the word intention. So adjustments are made with intention, whether in strategy, questioning, timing, or even in materials. So our team then prepares for the next implementation on the lesson by applying the revisions needed. Revision is not about starting over, actually, but it's about refining forward. Okay, so this is the revision form that we have agreed upon in our team. Okay, so this is the revised output for our lesson plan as well as our instructional material. Okay, so after revising the lesson in cycle 1, we don't just file it away as an improved plan. We test it again, and cycle 2 begins where revision ends. The refined research lesson is now implemented in new teaching round. So in other words, cycle 1 gives us improvement on paper, and cycle 2 shows us improvement in practice. Okay, so this is where the revised lesson is taught, observed, recorded, evaluated once more. Not because the first attempt failed, but because continuous improvement requires another look. Okay, so we have the same icons and faces. So we have the teach face. And now this happened in the second educational institution, and that is on the Divine World College of Vegan. Okay. So again, same, we have the observations sheet for cycle number 2. The reflect phase. So we have the reflect phase form for cycle number 2. The revise phase, the revision form, and of course, the final or the revised output for the lesson plan and the instructional material. So again, it went for a second round of revision and improvement. Okay, so here are the we are now on the outline number 3, and that is the lesson study output. And one of our outputs, since it is focused on game-based approach, so here are the components of our game. So we have the trendy board game. We also have the trendy adventure cards, as we can see here, periodic trends and the periodic elements card. We also have our trendy adventure dice and the trendy adventure counter. So let's see how the game works or the mechanics of the games. Okay, so the game rules. So each player will place their token or pamato on square number 1. Okay, and then the first player will then pick a card from set B. So set B is set as the periodic elements. Okay, so all players will pick a card from set A. Set A is the periodic trends. And whoever holds the card which satisfies the revealed periodic trend will move or advance according to the valence number of the element. So in this game, one should be well aware or familiar with the lesson topic itself. Okay, and then number 3, if a player lands on a square with bomb, player will slide down to the specified square indicated by the bomb. Number 4, if a player lands on a square with the bottom of the ladder, the player will climb or advance to the square up to the top of the ladder through skipping a row or more squares. So number 5, repeat steps 1 and 2 until the player will reach square 50. Okay, so in our lesson plan, we utilize the 7 E's model. So in the game utilization of the 7 E's, the 7 E's have, of course, 7 steps. So we have here elicit, engage, explore, explain, evaluate, and extend. So in the utilization of the game, it is centralized on explore, explain, and elaborate. Okay, so the emphasis is given in the middle. Yes, in the middle phases. So again, that is on explore, explain, and elaborate. Why? Because this is where students actually actively construct their understanding. So games are not used for fillers or rewards, but they are used as learning tools, as what Dr. Manzano have told us a while ago. So during the explore, the game sparks investigation. During the explain phase, it supports concept clarification. And during the elaborate phase, it depends application and strategy. Okay, so this is the best part. My reflection as an educator in utilizing this game-based approach. Okay, so when I introduced the game-based learning, to be honest, I wasn't just trying to make the class fun. I wanted the students to truly engage. And something shifted. Students who were usually quiet began participating. Discussion became more natural. They weren't just answering questions, but you see a glimpse of debating and building ideas together. The building of ideas together, what really sparked me most. So the classroom transformed from a passive listening to an active learning. But I learned actually that games only work when they are intentionally aligned with learning objectives. So without purpose, it's just a play. With purpose, it becomes powerful learning. And perhaps the most beautiful realization was this. When students are fully engaged, chemistry stops being intimidating and starts becoming an adventure. So thank you so much for listening.
Thank you, Mom Kathleen, for sharing to us your lesson study report. Technical team, please share the presentation of Mr. Kelvin, which is a recorded video.
Good day, everyone. I am Mr. Calvin O. Salano, and today I am happy to share to you our lesson study titled Ionic Pair Cards. For my presentation, I will discuss the research lesson study process, lesson study output, and finally, my personal reflection. This research lesson focuses on addressing students' difficulties in naming and writing formula of ionic compound. In teaching Chemistry 9, we identified several least mastered competencies related to ionic compounds. Through assessment results and classroom observation, we found that students struggle with difficulty in identifying charges, confusion between charge and subscript, incorrect use of crisscross method, and failure to reduce subscript. Because of this, we recognized the need for a strategy that is interactive, visual, and student-centered. To address these challenges, we developed ionic pair cards. This strategy aligns with constructivist learning principles, where students actively build understanding rather than passively receiving information. And this was the study process we followed. It started from planning, teaching, reflecting, revising, and reteaching. Our lesson study began with identifying the least mastered competencies in Chemistry 9. We collaboratively selected specific teaching strategies using the 5E instructional model. We then designed the lesson plan on naming and writing formulas of ionic compounds anchored on the research lesson framework. At the same time, we designed and prepared the ionic pair cards for classroom implementation. The lesson implementer delivered the research lesson in micro-teaching setup. The session was recorded to allow detailed review and analysis. Evaluation forms were distributed to participants and observers to gather structured feedback on content clarity, student engagement, effectiveness of the strategy, and classroom interaction. This systematic observation allowed us to focus not only on teaching performance, but more importantly, on student learning. During the lesson implementation, in the engage phase, students were presented ionic pair cards in which they identified whether the elements are metal or non-metal. In the explore phase, students used the ionic pair cards to match ions and determine correct combinations following the steps in naming and writing chemical formula of ionic compounds. In the explain phase, learners presented their output on ionic pair cards table. In elaborate phase, they enjoyed playing the ionic compound card games while learning further the concept in naming and writing chemical formula of ionic compounds. Lastly, in the evaluation phase, students completed exercises to assess mastery using the ionic pair card. After the implementation, the MLS team reviewed the results. We carefully examined student responses, engagement levels, and recurring misconceptions. Through collaborative reflection, we identified areas for improvement. Based on the agreed suggestion, the card design was revised for clarity and the mechanics were converted from text format to a video format for clearer instructions. The revised research lesson was then redelivered in another micro-teaching session incorporating improvements. This cycle of planning, observing, reflecting, and revising strengthened the quality of our lesson. On the other hand, the main output of this lesson study is the ionic pair cards. These are interactive card sets containing cations and anions. Each card clearly indicates the ion name, the chemical symbol, and the charge. The learning focus includes achieving charge neutrality, correct use of subscript, proper chemical naming conventions. The expected outcome is improved conceptual understanding and reduced formula writing and naming errors among students. And this
For
is
this
the
game,
mechanics
we will
of
be
the
using a
activity.
deck of element cards. The metal elements are color-coded. Red for group 1, orange for group 2, green for group 13, blue for non-metal. And finally, we have 3 wild cards, which can act as either a metal or a non-metal.
Game setup.
Shuffle of the cards well. Each player gets 5 cards, and the rest go face down in the middle as the draw pile. Leave space for a discard pile beside it. A maximum of 5 players can join the game.
Rules of the game.
On your turn, look at your cards. If you can match a metal card with a non-metal card, you'll have 30 seconds to write the correct name of the ionic compound on the answer sheet. If your answer is wrong, or you fail to answer in 30 seconds, that pair does not count, and you must draw 1 card as a penalty.
No pair situation.
If you cannot form any pair, simply draw 1 card from pile. Then the turn passes clockwise.
Winning rule.
Here's the special winning rule. If a player is able to put down for correct pairs with correct names, that player is automatically declared the winner, even if cards are still left in the pile.
Allow pair. Not allowed pair.
Through this lesson study, I gained a deeper understanding of students' misconceptions and learning difficulties. Collaborative planning with colleagues enhanced my instructional strategies and made the lesson more structured and purposeful. Using manipulative tools like ionic pair cards increased student engagement. Students were more active, more participative, and more confident in explaining their answers. More importantly, the lesson study process shifted my focus from how did I teach to how did students learn. It strengthened my professional growth and commitment to continuous improvement in teaching. To end my presentation, the development of ionic pair cards demonstrates that meaningful collaboration among teachers leads to innovative and effective instructional strategies. Through lesson study, reflection, and revision, we were able to transform a difficult competency into an engaging learning experience. Thank you very much for listening, and may God bless us all.
Thank you for sharing the presentation of Mr. Calvin Salaño. At this point, we will now open the floor for questions and reflections from our participants. So if you have any question or would like to share your thoughts, please feel free to type them in the chat box, or you may also raise your hand to be recognized. Yes, Miss Alifia.
Okay. First of all, thank you for the opportunity. So I am Alivia. So I just want to share something from my own school experience. In our public schools, we usually only have around 90 minutes for science, but the curriculum is very full and we have many subjects in one day. So even when teachers try their best to explain things clearly and move quickly to finish the syllabus, some important concepts still get left behind. And later, when students reach university, many of us feel lost because we realize we didn't fully understand. I'm sorry. And later, when students reach university, many of us feel lost because we realize we didn't fully understand the basics. So, my question is, in that limited time, for about 90 minutes, how can game based learning really help strengthen core understanding instead of just becoming another activity we don't have enough time for? Thank you.
Thank you, Miss Alifia, for your question. Mom Kathleen, Sir Kelvin, maybe you would like to share your reflection from the lesson implementation to answer Miss Alifia's question.
Okay, so I would like to start giving my inputs based on Miss Olivia's input or question. So it is actually true. It is happening in the real scenario, even in my class, actually, that good lesson study is usually done at a range or at a specific range. So it is not done at the short period of time. So a specific content LPO outcome or the learning competency is mostly targeted on 3 days. So in my case, I give emphasis on student learning. So for me, in my class especially, I really don't mind being behind or not tackling the extra or the extensive part of the lesson for as long as my students or my learners have the foundation. They grasp the foundation really well. So that is my goal. And it is true, actually. I can also relate, Miss Olivia, that it is not that the lesson is really done extensively. And sometimes it is being compromised. Yes. But again, in my case, I still focus on the foundation.
And in connection to game-based learning, Ma'am Kathleen.
Yes, sir. So that's the beauty actually of the game-based learning. So instead of the traditional discussion and the passive listening of the students, using the game-based, sometimes with just a simple game, you can concise the 3 steps or the 4 steps eventually in our lesson plan. So it is an innovative way to concise the lesson. So instead of that 90 minutes long discussion, it is really concise in a fun and engaging manner. So again, that's the beauty of the game base. So that is why we are utilizing it in our class.
Sir Kelvin, would you like to share your reflection also?
Am I audible, sir?
Yes, yes, you are.
Yes, in my case, as a science teacher who is teaching special science students, and I agree with what Ma'am Kathleen mentioned a while ago, that even though there's a limited time, when we use game-based learning, we incorporate the concept within that game, and we allow our learners to understand the concept while enjoying the game. And I can say that with these ionic pair cards that I have, and based on our observation, the students really understood the topic, particularly on naming and writing the chemical formula of ionic compounds, and watching them enjoying the lesson while grasping the concept.
Okay, thank you, Sir Calvin, for sharing your reflection. Some more? Some more questions? Or do we have a question in the chat box? Okay, we have from Muhammad Amik Zaziata. Excuse me, I'm Amik, a student from the Physics Education, Mulawaraman University. I know gamification aligns well with the current deep learning trend in Indonesia by increasing student engagement. However, how do both of you ensure that fun elements do not overshadow the cognitive depth required for understanding? What are the inherent weaknesses or trade-offs in the game you develop regarding this balance? Who would like to respond first, Sir Calvin or Ma'am Kathleen? Feel free to open your microphone to respond to the question. It's in the chat box. Probably, Ma'am Kathleen,
In
you
my
may share the concept of alignment. Oh, yes, Sir Calvin. Sir Calvin, you may now continue.
Yes, sir. So in my case, we with the team planned really well the lesson study on ionic pair share, sir, by means of course, we should not overshadow the cognitive part because on the part of the lesson plan, especially on the explore part of the lesson plan, we incorporated the conceptual understanding or the concept that needs to be unlearned by the students, and after which we make sure that they learned it well before proceeding with the game, particularly on the elaboration part. And one of the weakness that we observed during the first phase of our lesson on the ionic pair cards is that the instruction that we provided to them are printed, but it requires a lot of time for them to digest the mechanics of the game. That's why during our reflection time together with my teammate, we make sure that we need to create another innovative intervention for that case. And in that case, we have converted that textual format to video format. And for the second page, second teach of the lesson study, and we are very happy that we were able to minimize the time in following the mechanics of the game, and they really enjoyed well playing that ionic pair cards.
Thank you, Sir Calvin. Ma'am Kathleen?
Hello, okay. Yes. Amik, I really appreciate your question, actually. So it tackled some of our hardship during our lesson study implementation. Your question is really beautiful. How do you both ensure that the fun elements do not overshadow the cognitive depth required for true understanding? So that's the beauty of lesson implementation, because again, it is not only done on the first cycle, so it is done with a second wave. So the emphasis is given on the cognitive understanding and collaborative discussions between different educators, and of course with the help of our knowledgeable author. So again, it's a series of discussion, debating, not only between the students actually, but also between us educators. So to the point that it is okay if one gets frustrated towards an educator just to get the point right, just to deliver the cognitive aspect or depth right. So again, it's more on the connection, social connection, professionalism, in-depth explanation, and again, the happening of 2 cycles or more, if possible, if the time frame allows us. So thank you, Amik, for that question. I really appreciate that one.
Okay. And since I'm part of the lesson study team, I would like to answer Mick's question. No, in our case, we employ usually 4-tiered planning. No, and one of the tiers of this 4-tiered planning is to make sure that the material is aligned with our learning competency, which is a requirement of the basic education here in the Philippines. So in designing the game, we give emphasis to its alignment to the learning competency. We make sure that the game is not only for fun, but it's perfectly aligned with what is being required by our curriculum. So there is an alignment of the game with that of the learning competency. And that's one way to make sure that the students will not just play, they will really learn something from the game. That's why it is incorporated in the various stages of the 7E as an approach in delivering the game base. I hope we were able to answer you, Mick, and according to the MC, no, it's already the time is up already. So we would like to thank Mulawarman University for giving us the chance to share our humbling lesson study activity in the College of Teacher Education. We started this lesson study activity since 2017 as a micro teaching lesson study activity, and now it is embedded in all the major subjects of our science teaching programs, both in the graduate and in the undergraduate program. So thank you for, once again, thank you for giving us the chance to be heard. We hope that you learned something from our lesson study process, and we hope that we ignited your passion for teaching science through our lesson study report. Magandang umaga, mabuhay sa ating lahat. I will now hand in the floor to the MC for the second session.
Okay, thank you. Now it's time for the second topic from the University of Northern Philippines. The second topic is R&D in science education, developing games to enhance learning engagement. Now, I will introduce our moderator for today, Melody Marquez MSD. Melody Marquez held a master's degree in teaching physics and is a licensed professional teacher. She is currently in the final stage of dissertation writing for the PhD in science education and teaches earth science and physics courses at the University of Northern Philippines College of Teachers Education. Her research interests focus on problem-solving skills in science education. I would like to invite our second moderator from the University of Northern Philippines, Melody Marquez MSD. To Miss Melody Marquez, the time is yours.
Thank you so much. I hope I am clear and audible. Okay. Salamat pagi. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to our second session. The research and development in science education, developing games to enhance learners' engagement. In this presentation, we will learn how research and development principles guide the creation of educational games that effectively increase student engagement in science. Our speakers will walk us through the process of identifying learning needs, developing and pilot testing game prototypes, and refining them based on feedback. This session highlights the importance of innovation and evidence-based practice in designing games that foster curiosity, active participation, and meaningful engagement in science learning. Our first speaker is Alvin Lloyd R. Gampayon. He is currently a Bachelor of Secondary Education student major in science at the University of Northern Philippines and serves as a practice teacher at the Science Department of Ilocos Sur National High School. His research and development interests focus on the use of game-based approaches in high school physics instruction. We have Alvin Lloyd R. Gampayan. Our second speaker, Jeffrey B. Martinez, a licensed professional teacher specializing in science education. He is currently pursuing a Master of Science in Teaching Chemistry at the University of Northern Philippines and serves as a science teacher at Santa High School. His research and development interests center on the use of games in high school chemistry teaching. Can we have the video presentation for Mr. Alvin Lloyd R. Gampayan?
Good day, everyone. I'm Alvin Legampayan from the University of Northern Philippines under the College of Teacher Education, taking up Bachelor of Secondary Education major in Science. Today, I will be presenting my research and development study entitled Spectra Uno, Development of a Card Game in Physics to Improve Students' Engagement. So this study is presented under the topic of R&D in Science Education, developing card games or developing games to enhance learners' engagement, which focuses on creating instructional innovations that make science learning more interactive, engaging, and meaningful for students. This presentation will cover four main parts. We have the research problem, the R&D methodology following the plan, develop, validate process, the R&D output, which is Spectra Uno, and lastly, the R&D results, including content validation and field testing. First, we have your research problem. Science education plays an important role in developing critical thinking and scientific literacy in the Philippines. However, challenges still exist in effectively teaching physics. Studies shows that physics concepts are often difficult for students because of their abstract nature, requiring both theoretical understanding and practical application. Many learners struggle to connect these concepts to real life experiences. By this difficulty is further intensified lack of motivation, low engagement, and limited use of interactive and hands-on learning tools. As a result, students develop shallow and fragmented understanding of physics concepts. Because of these challenges, innovative teaching strategies are needed, particularly those that connect abstract concepts to real-world learning. Research suggests that game-based learning, especially card games, can improve motivation, participation, and conceptual understanding through playing. Card games are practical, non-digital tools that encourage collaboration and active participation among learners. So therefore, this study aimed to develop a card game or aim to develop a game-based learning instructional material to enhance students' engagement in physics learning. This study followed the research and development methodology, specifically the plan, develop, and validate model. This approach ensures that the instructional material is systematically designed, created, evaluated, and improved before classroom implementation. During the planning phase, two major stages were conducted. First, the science curriculum guide was unpacked to identify the appropriate physics competencies and learning objectives. Second, aligned instructional materials or the AIMD were prepared to ensure that the game content matched the curriculum standards. So this stage ensured that the Spectra Uno was not only engaging but also academically aligned. Next, in the development phase, Spectra Uno was created through several steps. Stage 3, development of the Spectra Uno. By this, it has a selection of key terms, designing of the cards, creating game rules. And next, stage 4, after the development of after selecting your key terms, designing the cards, we have now your layout and production. These processes transform physics concepts into interactive gameplay elements while maintaining educational accuracy. After the development, the material underwent content validation. So first, selection of content validators. For the content validation, 5 master teachers in science evaluated the Spectra Uno. So the instrument used for content validation was the Depth Ed Evaluation Rating Sheet for charts, posters, drill, flashcards, and other manipulatives. And next, stage 7. So their suggestions and recommendations were carefully reviewed and necessary revisions were made to improve the final version of. Okay, next. The validated material was then implemented through field testing. So this includes selection of participants. For the selection of participants, 37 grade 10 learners from the University of Northern Philippines Laboratory School were involved in the study. The research utilized a one-group pre-test posted design, and participants were selected through non-probability sampling. Uh, and of course, an adapted student engagement scale to measure learners' engagement before and after the intervention. Okay, stage 9, administration of pre-test, lesson implementation using Spectra Uno and your post-test. Okay, next. In this slide, I have some pictures of the lesson implementation. So as you can see, the learners or the students actively used the Spectra Uno. They were so happy because this was their first time to learn physics with card games. So just a note, informed consent was also obtained from all students and photographs were used solely for educational and research documentation purposes. Now, let us move on to the fun part of my presentation, the R&D output, which is Spectra Uno. To better demonstrate how the game works and how mechanics are applied in the classroom, I have prepared a short video presentation.
Ladies and gentlemen, may I present to you Spectra Uno, a card game designed to develop students' engagement in physics, particularly in learning the electromagnetic spectrum. We will now discuss three main parts: the total number of cards, the features of the cards, and the mechanics of the game. Spectra Uno is categorized according to different regions of the electromagnetic spectrum and special action cards. Radio waves consist of 7 cards. As you can see, one card represents the wavelength, another card represents the frequency, while the remaining cards present the real-life applications of radio waves. Like the radio wave set, the microwaves cards also consist of one wavelength card and one frequency card, while the remaining cards highlight their real-life applications, a total of 7 cards. Infrared, 7 cards. Visible light, 6 cards. Ultraviolet, 7 cards. X-rays, 5 cards. And the last, gamma rays, 5 cards. In addition, the game includes special gameplay cards such as block cards and reverse cards. The block card allows a player to skip another player's turn, while the reverse card changes the direction of play. These mechanics encourage active participation, strategic thinking, and sustained attention during the activity. Spectra Uno also includes wild cards, specifically the +2 and +4 cards, to strengthen concept application during gameplay. For the +2 cards, there are 8 cards in total, containing 4 different instructions. When a player uses a +2 card, the next player draws 2 cards and must complete a given challenge. Next are the +4 cards. There are 4 cards in total, containing 2 different instructions. When a player uses a +4 card, the next player draws 4 cards and must complete a given challenge. Overall, the game consists of a total of 70 Spectra Uno cards. Each Spectra Uno card contains several features designed to support both gameplay and learning. First, the logo or symbol, which represents the Spectra Uno game identity. Second, the number, which is used for matching during the game. Third, the title, which identifies the spectrum category. Fourth, a picture or illustration that provides a visual representation of the concept. Fifth, a description that explains the scientific idea related to the card. Spectra Uno is embedded within the 7E inquiry-based learning model, which includes the stages: elicit, engage, explore, explain, elaborate, evaluate, and extend. However, the game primarily emphasizes three key stages: engage, explore, and elaborate. These stages help stimulate students' curiosity, encourage investigation, and allow learners to apply their knowledge through active participation. In the Engage segment, the following mechanics were implemented. 37 learners were divided into 5 groups. Each group received one set of Spectra Uno cards. The groups then performed the activity called Pairs, where they identified and matched the correct electromagnetic wave cards. After completing the matching activity, the groups proceeded to answer the inquiry questions provided by the teacher to activate prior knowledge and stimulate curiosity about the lesson. In this part of the Explore segment, each group compared selected pairs of electromagnetic waves, such as gamma rays and radio waves, X-rays and microwaves, infrared and ultraviolet, and radio waves and visible light. For every pair, the students determined which wave had the longer wavelength, shorter wavelength, and higher frequency. They recorded their answers in a data table. In the Elaborate segment, students applied their understanding through the actual Spectra Uno gameplay. Each group was given one complete pack of Spectra Uno cards. One student shuffled the cards and distributed them clockwise to all players, while the remaining cards were placed face down at the center to form the draw pile. Players then took turns matching cards based on number, wave type or color, or special cards. If the card could be used, it was played immediately, otherwise, the turn ended. If a player could not play a card, they drew one card from the draw pile. Whenever a card was played, the student read the description aloud to reinforce the physics concept. If a player had only one card remaining, they shouted Spectra, or received a 2-card penalty. The first player to discard all cards won the round. In Spectra Uno, students don't just play to win, they play to learn.
Thank you so much for
Excuse me. There's still a segment that is not presented. There are end results. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Mr. Alvin Lloyd Gampayan. May we move on to the next video presentation
Ma'am,
of our
excuse
second
me.
presenter.
Melody, we need to go back to
Okay.
the video. Okay, that's it.
Showed excellent evaluation outcomes. All 5 evaluators gave perfect scores. 40 out of 40 for content quality, 40 out of or 16 out of 16 for other findings, and 24 out of 24 for additional requirements. The overall descriptive rating for all components was pass. This implies that the Spectra Uno passed the standards set by the Department of Education for charts, posters, drill or flashcards, and manipulatives. Next. And this part is the field testing. The pretest results as seen in the graph showed that the majority of students only earned a grade that was classified as high. However, the post-test revealed that almost all students got the score described as very high. To determine if the significant difference between or yeah, the, to determine if the difference between the pretest scores and post-test scores is significant, the Wilcoxon sign rank test was used because pre-test and post-test involved the same students and the data were not normally distributed. Since parametric tests require normality, a non-parametric test like Wilcoxon sign rank test was more appropriate to determine significance difference. The table shows that Wilcoxon sign rank test value is 5.222, 222, and the p-value was 0.000. So it is lower than 0.05, which means that the improvement from the pre-test to post-test is statistically significant. Therefore, Spectra Uno had a significant effect on students' engagement. In conclusion, Spectra Uno demonstrates that integrating games into science education can transform physics learning into an engaging, collaborative, and meaningful experience. By combining playing and learning, students do not only study physics, they actively experience it. Because when learning becomes interactive, engagement naturally follows, and understanding becomes more deeper. So that ends my presentation. Thank you very much.
Once again, thank you so much, Mr. Alvin Lloyd Gampayan, for your thought-provoking presentation. May we move on to the next video presentation for our second presenter. Thank you.
So before I start my discussion, my presentation for today, let me introduce myself first. I am Jeffrey B. Martinez from the University of Northern Philippines. So today I will be presenting a research entitled Monopoly Quantum Board under the R&D in Science Education, developing games to enhance learners' engagement. So this study focuses on designing and validating an educational board game called the Board, developed to enhance students' engagement in learning quantum numbers in chemistry. So this presentation is divided into 4 parts: the research problem, R&D methodology, R&D output, and R&D results, which are subdivided into 2 parts: content validation and field testing. So let's begin with the research problem. So despite the recognized benefits of STEM education in developing problem-solving skills, creativity, computational thinking, and engineering design skills, its effective implementation continues to face significant challenges. Teachers face many challenges in terms of STEM content knowledge, changing teaching methods, and changing opinions by Chang et al. 2021. From the student's perspective, effective STEM learning requires engineering and technological skills and mathematical thinking by Wahuno et al. 2021. Additionally, students face technological and content knowledge difficulties. According to Chang et al. 2024, many learners struggle to effectively utilize technological tools required STEM integrated tasks due to limited digital literacy skills and insufficient exposure to technology-enhanced learning environments. Moreover, the Philippines' low performance in the program for International Student Assessment or the PISA, particularly in science, highlights the urgent need to enhance student learning outcomes and engagement in student STEM education. On the other hand, game-based learning, particularly the use of educational board games aligned with the engineering design process or the EDP, has been identified as promising strategy to improve student motivation and learning outcomes. However, there remains a need to examine how such innovative approaches can specifically enhance engagement and challenging chemistry concepts such as quantum numbers. Thus, this study sought to determine the effect of Chemboard, a monopoly-inspired educational game, on students' engagement in learning quantum numbers. Specifically, it aimed to determine students' level of engagement before and after implementation of Chemboard and to examine whether a significant difference exists in their engagement following its use. Let's move on to R&D methodology. So this study used the research and development approach guided by the ADDIE model. So we all know that ADDIE model stands for analysis, design, development, implementation, and evaluation. Let's move on first to analysis phase. So first things first, I identified learners' difficulties in understanding quantum numbers and determined the learning competencies based on the K-12 science curriculum by the Department of Education. Afterward, I consulted teachers and students to assess learning needs and engagement gaps. So after the analysis phase, let's move on to design phase. I planned the structure, mechanics, and rules of the Chemboard, designed components such as the game board, quantum number cards, element claim cards, and tokens. Later on, I will be showing you what are the components of the game board. So ensure the activities and challenges were aligned with chemistry learning goals. Development phase. I created the prototype using the Canva and refined it through expert feedback. I also incorporated visual appeal, accurate content, and clear mechanics of the game, and prepared validation instruments and student engagement surveys. After the development phase, we are now done with the implementation phase. I conducted game sessions with 31 science, technology, engineering, and mathematics STEM students and explained the rules, facilitated the gameplay, and gathered observations and feedback. After the implementation, we are moving on to the evaluation phase, the last part of the R&D methodology. The Chemboard was validated by 3 science experts for content, other findings, and manipulation from the depth ed evaluation for chart, posters, drill or flashcards, and manipulatives. After that, of course, a pre-test and post-intervention survey was given to assess the students' engagement before and after playing the Chemboard. So that concludes the R&D methodology. Let's move on to the R&D output. For the results, it is subdivided into two parts. We have the content validation and the field testing. For the results of content validation, expert validators rated Chemboard as very highly valid in terms of content, other findings, and manipulation, with mean scores of 3.9, 4.0, and 4.0 respectively. This confirms that the board effectively supports conceptual learning in quantum numbers. Next is the field testing. The bar graph presents the comparison between pre-intervention and post-intervention mean scores across 4 areas. We have the engagement on science lessons task, science learning environment, science effect and preparation, and the overall mean. Let's interpret first the engagement on science lesson task. The mean score increased from 3.285 for the pre-test to 3.9309 for the post-test. This indicates a noticeable improvements in students' engagement after the intervention. The increase suggests that the strategy or tool implemented effectively enhance students' active participation and interest in science tasks. For science learning environment, the mean score improved from 3.129 for the pre-test to 3.9401 for the post-test. This is one of the largest increases among the variables. It implies that the intervention positively influenced how students perceive their learning environment, possibly making it more interactive, supportive, and conducive to learning. Next is the science effect and preparation. Scores increased from 3.1613 for the pretest and 3.9516 for the post-test. This substantial improvement suggests that students felt better prepared and experienced greater learning effectiveness after the intervention. The strategy likely helped improve understanding and readiness in science lessons. Next, the overall mean. The overall mean rose from 3.192 from the pretest to 3.9409 from the post-test. This overall increase confirms that the intervention had a positive and consistent impact across all measured areas. The Chemboard demonstrates that well-designed educational game can improve engagement, support conceptual understanding, and make abstract chemistry topics more meaningful. So game-based learning is a powerful pedagogical strategy when aligned with clear learning objectives. Thank you, and I am now open for your questions.
Thank you so much, Sir Jeffrey Martinez. Thank you, presenters, for such an engaging presentation. We sincerely appreciate the practical insights and, of course, the innovative strategies you have shared with us. Now we will move on to the open forum segment. May we invite our participants to share their questions, comments, or reflections. So just feel free to send them through the chat box. We will be glad to address them. Or if you want to raise your hand. I think Alika Nazwa from UNMUL is raising her hand.
Good morning. Can you hear my voice?
Yes, you are audible, Alika.
Okay, good morning, respected speakers and all participants. Magandang umaga po. My name is Alika Nazamalida, a student majoring in physics education from Mulawarman University. Thank you for the insightful and inspiring presentation. It was very meaningful to me as a student who is preparing to become a future educator. I would like to ask, as a student majoring in physics education, I'm very interested in implementing game-based learning in my future classroom. What practical advice would you give to beginner teachers who want to start using games in science teaching? Thank you. Maraming salamat po.
Thank you, Alika. Alvin or Jeffrey, who would like to answer the question first?
I think Sir Jeffrey will answer it because he's a teacher now. And I'm still a
Okay,
student.
good morning, ma'am. So the practical experience that I will advise to you as a future educator, first things first is to, of course, and to plan a game-based activity. After that, of course, you have to evaluate it whether it's an effective tool for your class. Then if it's effective, afterward you have to implement it in your class, because that's the best thing, or that's the process on how to make a game-based activity in your class.
Thank you so much. Alvin, would you like to share something?
Uh, just like what Sir Jeffrey said, it is very important for us future educators to plan first before implementing it. Because without planning it, it's just like there's no an outline in implementing it. So after implementing it, it is what do you call this? It is necessary for you, for us, future educators, to evaluate the learner's engagement or learner's achievement. Okay.
Thank you so much. Are there any other questions? Thank you, Alika. Are there any other questions for our speakers? I think Putra Yoga is raising his hand.
Hello. Sorry. Can you hear my voice?
Yes.
Okay. Let me introduce myself. I'm Putra Yoga Nugraha from Chemistry Education in Universitas Melawarman. I want to ask about the Chemboard game. I want to ask about how long does it take to play the Chemboard game? Is there a time limit or a limitation in the game to end the game? Because we know about chemistry education had a limitation in time. So I want to ask about it because Monopoly game, I know it. It's took a long time for doing this game. Thank you.
Okay, thank you for that wonderful question, Mr. Potra. So during the implementation of the Chem board, I forgot to include the rounds of the game in the mechanics. So it is just only 7 rounds for the Monopoly Chem board. Then after the 7 rounds, there will be a winner, or we call it Chem Master, after playing the 7 rounds of the game. So there's no limited time, just after the 7 rounds, the game will end.
Okay. Thank you so much, Sir Jeffrey Martinez and Putra Yoga Nugraha from Chemistry Education. I hope there are no questions in our chat box. So once again, congratulations to our presenters. I will now give the floor to our MC.
Permisi, Pak Hakim.
Kita akan
menyerahkan sertifikat.
Okay.
Okay, Bapak. Thank you for the insightful discussion. Thank you to our speakers and moderators. We will now proceed with the certificate awarding for University of Northern Philippines speakers and moderators. The awarding will be conducted on screen by head of the Mathematics and Natural Science Education Department. Silakan Bapak.
Okay. I present this certificate to you virtually. For Kathleen Papanan and Kelvin Salania. I present this certificate to you. And Alvin and Jeffrey, I present this certificate to you virtually. Thanks. And oh. And Alvin and Jeffrey, I present this certificate to you virtually. Okay, thanks.
Congratulations to all speakers and moderators. Once again, please note that at the end of the sessions, we will display an attendance link. All participants are requested to fill out the attendance link. We will now continue with the session from Mulawarman University. The first topic is Gam Kami Bread Adventure, an interactive learning media on the topic of hydrocarbon. Now, I will introduce our moderator for today, Suparno Putra Makadavi, MPD. Suparno Putra Makadavi holds a master degree in biology education. He is a lecturer in the Department of Biology Education at Mulawarman University, Indonesia. His research interests include innovative biology teaching models, STEM, integrated learning, digital learning media, scientific literacy, and the integration of sustainable development goals in science education. He also conducted applied research in environmental biology and bioinformatics studies. I would like to invite our first moderator from Mulawarman University, Suparno Putra Makadavi, MPD. To Mr. Suparno Putra Makadavi, the time is yours.
Okay, thank you so much, Master of Ceremony, for the opportunity. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, distinguished guests, and all participants. Welcome to this session. My name is Suparno Putra Makadavi, and I will be guiding you as the moderator for this interesting topic presentation. In this session, we are going to discuss a very innovative approach to chemistry learning. The topic is Game Chemi Brain Adventure, an interactive learning media on the topic of hydrocarbon. Before we begin, allow me to introduce our wonderful speakers today. They are team from the Chemistry Education Department, Universitas Mula Warman. We have with us today Mr. Sukemi, SPD MSc, Nabila Naila Awalia, and Silva Valentina. Mr. Sukemi is currently a lecturer and researcher in University of Mula Warman, focusing on organic chemistry and natural product chemistry. Graduated from Master of Science, Department of Chemistry, Faculty of Science, King Mongkut's University of Technology, Thonburi, Bangkok, Thailand. And Nabila and Silva are students in University of Mula Warman and research assistant of Mr. Sukemi that has interest in chemistry and its study in school. Ladies and gentlemen, this team has developed an interactive media tool designed to make learning hydrocarbon more engaging and effective. So without further ado, let's hear directly from the team. To Mr. Sukemi, Nabila, and Silva, you have 25 minutes to deliver your presentation. The time is yours.
Well, thank you so much, the moderator. Good morning and magandang umaga dan selamat pagi for both of participants from Mula Warman University side and UNP sites. Okay, well, so today we are going to deliver our preliminary research finding about the game chamber adventure and an interactive learning media on the topic of hydrocarbon. But before I present this topic, let me see first the how look like the game chamber adventure that will be delivered by Nabila and Silva. Nabila.
Thank you, sir, for the opportunity. So I will introduce you the game, our development game named Camper Adventure, and this game is based on Android, so you can download it or just play in your phone. This is what the first page in the application, and then you have to fill out the identities and you fill out the password, and after that register the identity. After that, you have to fill it once more again and then come into the game. After here, you can see there's two menus, and we can see about the learning outcomes, about the chemistry organic in the daily life, and then the learning objective for the student in this topic. And this is the how to use the application for the student. And this is the concept map for the hydrocarbon. This is the menu you can use the learning and the playing menu. In the learning menu, you can see the material for the topic about hydrocarbon, and then for playing the game we can use the character named Ampong, and there will be a 3 level. The first level on the forestry mangrove, the second level in the Mount Merapi, and the third level at the under the sea. Here's the review for the first level. So while we do playing this game, we have to collect the hydrocarbon and then answer the question available in the game. As you can see, it looks like a Mario Bros game. If you know the Mario Bros game, so yeah, it looks a little bit looks like. So we can answer and then crush the enemies like bird or anything the enemies. I will speed it up first. After continue this game, we have to collect the keys. So the keys will be opened after all the keys is already collected. And then first level. Was the answer from the question already answered before. This is the end from the level 1. So from the score, we have to reach 86 for the level. So this is the preview for the second level at Merapen Maut. And this is the third level at Under the Sea. That is all from the game. I came back to you, Mr. Kemi.
Okay, well, thank you so much, Nabila, for your explanation about our product. Okay. Nabila, would you mind to share the PowerPoint presentation? Yeah, slideshow, please. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we have already know about the CBA game, Game Chamber Adventure and Interactive Learning Media on the topic of hydrocarbon. This game actually kind of the design and development, and this is still in the preliminary research and conducting by my student and I from Chemical Education Program of Mulawarman University. Okay, next slide, please, Nabila. Okay, let we start from the background. So as we know that learning media help a teacher to deliver a message or content or material to the student. And as we know also, one of the media in learning is digital. For example, is games. Next slide, please. So in Indonesia, based on the LIPI, Indonesian Institution for Science, more than 80% mobile-based game player is in Indonesia, and more than 300 of them are 18 years old. It means the player around 32% is are student from elementary and high school. Next slide, please. So game, as we know that has a graphics, animation, colors, text, audio, and some elements such as a title, goals, rules, and choice, and they make them game become interactive and interesting. Next slide, please. Adventure games are a travel game that require alternates to compete the challenges that have been introduced by Nabila before. And adventure game-based learning advantage, first, able to stimulate student creative thinking abilities and can be operated on Android device and more flexible and can be used anywhere. Android user in Indonesia from the start counter is reach almost 90% of all device user. Next slide, please. And this slide tell you about some games that have been developed by Indonesian, for example, Diamond Chemistry Adventure, and then Game Edukasi Kimia, and then mobile game can flow. Next slide, please. And we found that the weaknesses of the previous game-based learning media has some bugs, and then the content presented is not extensive enough, and then less interesting and varied. So further development is still needed, we think, from our team. So we create the Chain Brain Adventure game. Okay, this is the methods. Next. So we use the PPE that's introduced or explained by the Ritchie and Klein. There is identification problem, goal description, and then design and development, and then product trial, and then evaluation of trial and result, and communicating trial results. Next slide, please. So this is detail of this design and development. In the first step, problem identification consisting of curriculum and content analysis, and then analysis of popular and relevant Android-based adventure chemistry games, and analysis of chemistry teacher and student needs. And then next step is goal description, is finding and setting the goals, and then continued by the design and development, consisting of creating practice question, creating flow chart, and then followed by creating storyboard, and then compiling material or contents, and then collecting graphic material, and then finally in this step designing the initial product. After we designing the initial product, so we continue to the product trial that consisting validity tests involved by two type of validity. First is content validity, and then second is media validity. After we got the good validity, we continue to the practicality test, and then after the media, the GBA game is practical, so we continue to the effectiveness test, and then evaluation of the product trial result and communication, and we end by the communication. Next slide, please. Okay, I think this is the more detail about what I mentioned before. Next slide, please. Next slide. Next. Okay, the data collection instrument in these studies, first is a teacher and student needs questionnaire sheets, and then guidelines for teacher and student needs analysis interview, subject expert validation questionnaire sheet, and then media expert validation questionnaire sheet, and teacher and student practicalities questionnaire, pre-test and post-test question, student effectiveness response questionnaire, and then student and teacher activity observation sheet. Next. Okay, this is the result from the need analysis data. What can I say from this figure, that both of student and teachers say that they have opinion that the CBA game or CBA media can be developed. Next. So this is from student, the previous from the teacher. Next. And then we continue the we follow it by the interview and using the snowball sampling. Before, when you see the graph, it is from the closed questionnaire. So we continue by the interview, and then also to make sure what the teacher and student needs, and in conclusion is teacher and student very supportive to development of learning media, especially in Android-based game on the topic hydrocarbon that we call Chamberlain adventure game. Next slide, please. Next slide, please. Okay, this is the about the validity, validity of the CBA games based on the content validity. Okay, we have, if you see the blue one is tahap 1, tahap 1 is mean cycle 1, and then tahap 2 is cycle 2. So from the cycle 1, there is improvement from this figure, mean there is improvement needed to make the CBA game more appropriate and can be utilized by a student and teacher. And then from the cycle 2, we got the high validity from the content validator. And then if you see number 1, 2, and 3, it is correlated to relevance and organization of material, practice question, and language. And after the cycle 2, all the indicator relevant and organization of material, practice question, and language is categorized as a good. Nice. So this is the result from media validation, validator of media, expert in media. There are some 4 indicators. The first is visual display quality, audio, programming, and implementation. And then, of course, as well as the previous data in the cycle 1, there is need improvement, and then we can improve to the cycle 2, and then we got the categories is good or good validity. Okay, next. Okay, in this data, we go to the practical, practicality. Jadi, after we conduct the content and media validity, we conduct the practicality. And from this slide, you can see there are 1, 2, 3 aspects, for the practical validity. And in this slide is a practicality response from the teacher, media appearance and readability, and then easy of use, and then benefits. And then we got score, percentage score. So actually we have in the questionnaire or in the collecting data, we use the Likert scale 1 to 5, and then convert to percent 0 to 100, and then we got for the average of the aspects 74. It means this data, this media is practical. It's practical. It is a response from the teacher. And then next. And then this practicality, according to the student, it is the aspect is quite similar. There are three aspects, and then interestingly, from the student, we got the high response from the student. In average, we got active 5, and with the categorized is very practical. Next slide, please. Yeah, this is the same. Yeah, next slide, please. Next slide. Okay, and then after we conduct the practicality test, we conducting the effectiveness. In the effectiveness test, we measure the end gain, then and the effect size. And then from this slide, you can see that there is increment knowledge of the student on the topic of hydrocarbon in the level of middle, and then the criteria of effect size is very strong. It's mean that the media, the CBA game can improve the knowledge of student on the topic of hydrocarbon. Next. Okay, and besides we conduct the previous step, we also collect the response from the student, how they feel when they use the CBA game. There are four aspects we measure in this response. The first is a standalone application, appearance, convenience, application, and benefit. And we got the average score in the very good response. Okay, and then we continue to present about the student activity and teacher activity. And this slide, we can see that the graph of student activity, and there are number 1 to 5. It means activity of a student in the classroom from the first until the 5th meetings. When we conduct the test of the GBA game in the classroom, there are 5 meetings or 5 cycles. And then we got the very, very nice, very high or a good activity from a student. And then next. And then from the teacher activity, also we observe that the teacher also show the good activity when they use the CBA game in the learning of the topic of hydrocarbons. Next slide, please. Okay, in the conclusion that our brain game adventure game, it is effective to improvement the knowledge of student on the topic of hydrocarbon, and then also can be used in the other school. But I inform you in the previous in the starting my presentation that this is still a preliminary research findings. It's mean we need to more explore. For example, for the testing or field application implementation of this CBA game still limited in one school. So for further work, we need applicate it in other schools, something like that. And maybe that's it, my presentation, and I give back to the moderator.
Thank you so much, Mr. Sukemi, Nabila, and Silva for such an insightful presentation. Let's give them a virtual round of applause, yeah? Okay, it was fascinating to see that how game chemistry brain adventure can be utilized to assist students in understanding the complex topic of hydrocarbons. We know that hydrocarbons is a complex topic, right? And through the interactive media. So, ladies and gentlemen, that concludes my part as the moderator for this specific topic. To continue our agenda today with the next exciting session, I would like to hand over the control to Master of Ceremony. Thank you so much for your attention and good morning.
Okay, morning and thank you. Now it's time for the second topic from Mula Warman University. The second topic is service learning, playful design, teaching sustainable cities through the STEM City Sustainable Game. Now, I will introduce our moderator for today, Auliaul Fitra Samsudin MPD. Auliaul Fitra Samsudin holds master degree in mathematics education. She is lecturer in Department of Mathematics Education at Mula Warman University, Indonesia. Her research focus on mathematical literacy, numeric literacy, skill, problem-based learning, and the development of contextual mathematics tasks based on local culture in East Kalimantan. She is also actively involved in teacher professional development and community engagement program in mathematics education. I would like to invite our second moderator from Mula Warman University, Auliaul Fitra Samsudin MPD. To Miss Auliaul Fitra Samsudin, the time is yours.
Okay, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. A very good morning to all distinguished speakers, respected participants, and colleagues from Mula Warman University and University of Northern Philippines. It is my pleasure to serve as your moderator for this session. My name is Auliaul Fitrah Samsudin from Mula Warman University. Presentation in this second session will be delivered by 4 speakers. First, Sally F. Winda MPD, a lecturer in physics education, and currently she is about to pursue her PhD at Johannes Kepler University, and her current research activity and interest lies in STEM education, climate change education, and scientists, teachers, students, partnership in science learning. Second, Rosita Putri Rahmi Hairani MPD. She is a lecturer in elementary education program, currently undertaking her PhD at the University of Auckland. Her research focuses on science education, particularly in the development of instructional media and the integration of educational technology to enhance science learning in primary schools. The third, she is also Erna Suhartini MPD. She is also a lecturer in elementary education. Her research focuses on STEM, inquiry-based learning, learning technology, and the Sustainable Development Goals. And last but not least, Nurul Fitriah Sulaiman PhD from Physics Education Study Program. Her research interests are STEM, education in environment issues, engineering design process, and pre-service science teacher education. The speakers will deliver presentation entitled Serious Learning, Playful Design, Teaching Sustainable Cities Through the STEM City Sustainable Game. This topic is particularly relevant in today's educational landscape, where sustainability, STEM integration, and game-based learning intersect to create meaningful learning experiences. Without further ado, I would like to invite the speakers to begin their presentation. Miss Sally and team, are you guys here with us?
Yes, Aulia, hello.
Yeah. Okay, great. You may start your presentation. The time is yours.
Good afternoon, everyone. It is a great pleasure for us to present our study entitled Serious Learning, Playful Design, Teaching Sustainable Cities Through the STEM City Sustainable Game. This research is conducted by our team, Sally F. Winda, Rosita Putri Rahmi Hairani, Erna Suhartini, and Nurul Fitria Sulaiman from the Physics Education and Primary School Teacher Education Study Program, Faculty of Teacher Training and Education, Mula Warman University. In addition to the four of us, this project has also been strongly supported by our student team, Amik, Anugrah, Erna, Rifa, Eva, and Nur Hasanah. We deeply appreciate their contribution. So in this study, we explore how integrating STEM education with gamification can support inclusive learning while fostering students' motivation and essential STEM skills, particularly in the context of sustainable city education. This study is grounded in a national and global urgency. Indonesia's vision of Indonesia Emas 2045 aspires to build a sovereign, advanced, just, and prosperous nation by its 100th year of independence. Achieving this vision requires high-quality human resources who are competitive at the global level and capable of driving sustainable development. In line with the vision, the Indonesian government is currently emphasizing the development of STEM talent to support sustainable development and the green economy. Strong STEM competencies are essential not only for technological advancement, but also for addressing environmental challenges and building sustainable cities. However, previous research predicts that while the demand for STEM professionals continues to increase, the number of graduates meeting this demand continues to decline significantly. This gap signals a critical educational challenge. Moreover, although various inclusive STEM frameworks have been developed, many still focus primarily on theory and curriculum design. Practical implementation, especially approaches that strengthen student motivation, develop meaningful STEM skills, and ensure inclusivity remains underexplored. Therefore, there is a pressing need for innovative learning tools that don't only teach STEM concepts, but also enhance motivation, cultivate essential STEM skills, and create inclusive learning environments where all students can participate and thrive. Building on the urgency presented in the previous slide, our study aims to develop learning tools that integrate STEM and gamification. And based on our past literature review, gamification has strong potential to increase students' learning motivation, engagement, and active participation. Therefore, our goal is not only to teach STEM concepts, but also to design an inclusive and motivative learning experience that supports the development of essential STEM skills for all students. And to achieve this, we adopted a mixed method approach using educational design research, or EDR. And we can see in this figure, the EDR consists of three phases. First phase, analysis and exploration. The second phase, design and construction. The third phase, evaluation and reflection. And the process is iterative to product the mature intervention and theoretical understanding for the broader implementation and spread. And for the details, we can see on the another figure. Phase 1, analysis and exploration. We conducted literature reviews, curriculum analysis, and need assessment to identify key challenges in inclusive STEM implementation and to define the core design principles of the learning tools. In phase 2, we develop and refine the STEM City Sustainable Game prototype through expert validation and iterative revisions to ensure its pedagogical and contextual relevance. In the phase 3, evaluation and reflection, in this phase, the developed learning tools will be implemented in elementary schools across 5 regions in East Kalimantan. The purpose of this phase is to evaluate the effectiveness of the intervention and to further refine the design based on empirical findings. Quantitative data will be used to measure the effectiveness of the intervention, particularly in terms of student motivation and STEM skills development. Meanwhile, qualitative data will be collected to explore stakeholder perception, as well as to identify strengths and areas for improvement. Overall, this iterative process ensures that learning tools are theoretically grounded, contextually relevant, and practically impactful. And to formulate the core design principles that guided the development of our inclusive STEM learning tools through gamification, we began our study with several systematic literature reviews. The first systematic literature review focused specifically on inclusive STEM education, aiming to identify its key characteristics, major challenges, and recommended strategies for creating equitable and supportive STEM learning environments. And the results show a significant global increase in research on inclusive STEM education in recent years. However, within the Indonesian context, the number of studies remains relatively limited, indicating both a research and implementation gap. And our co-occurrence analysis highlights several dominant STEMs related to inclusive STEM education, including student engagement, disability, gender gap, retention, teacher roles, and inclusive learning environments. Interestingly, the term game also emerged as a connected keyword within the network analysis. Although game was not the primary focus at this first review, its presence in the keyword network reinforces our initial assumption that gamification may contribute to more inclusive STEM learning. And beyond these specific insights, the broader findings of the review enabled us to identify several recommended approaches for inclusive STEM learning. It's including fostering a strong sense of belonging, implementing active learning strategies, creating supportive and inclusive school environments, applying personalized learning approaches, integrating problem-based and project-based learning, and leveraging emerging technologies to enhance engagement and accessibility. These consolidated findings were then translated into core design principles that guided the development of our STEM City Sustainable Game. Now that I have presented the theoretical foundation and the core design principles derived from our systematic literature review, I would like to invite my colleague, Ms. Rosita, who will explain how these principles were translated into the concrete design features of the STEM City Sustainable Game and how the game supports inclusive and sustainable STEM learning in practice. Ms. Rosita, the floor is yours.
Okay, thank you, Sally. I'll be continuing on Sally's speech before, and here we can see the literature finding here are related to game mechanics in related studies, especially for board game design, since we are decided to build a board game for our STEM game. And here we can see that for real physical board game design, the game mechanic contain the turn taking. I mean, this is the top 3 game mechanics that repeatedly occur in the prior empirical studies, and it's namely turn taking, question challenge card, and competition. And also the synthesis of these findings become the next design foundation of our board game. Next, Sally. Okay, thank you. And here we can see the flow chart. I mean, this is the original flow chart of our research team have been developed. And here we can see, rather than directly building the prototype, we first translated those literature-based mechanics into a mechanical logic structure using a flowchart model. And here we can see it's beginning with the start, and students should select some target city and receive 2 green coins from the host. And also they should open a monthly event card to determine what happens during that month, and the players will take turn in sequential order, and the players from 1 to 4 will be get 2 movement turn in each person and move according to the dice roll, and collects or use valuable resources token, and after 2 turns and they will return to the start or checkpoint area, and so on and so on. And after the player 4, each player also have the opportunity to exchange resource tokens. And after the decision point 1, have 2 target cities and all challenges be completed. It's a question that they should answer. If yes, they will win the game, or no, the game will be continuing in repeatedly order. And also after they win, the student will draw and design the 2-dimension sustainable city prototype using resources earned during the game and guided by the teacher, and create a prototype model of one sustainable zone in their draw. And also they will be present the design in the class. And also here at the right side, we can see the table, and we already conclude that the flowchart is represent the play turn order, sequential system, and also dice rolling and board navigation mechanics and resource acquisition, and also card management and strategic usage and objective completion and win or loss condition. And each element in this flowchart is intentionally mapped into a specific game mechanic derived from prior studies, especially in board game design. And also this ensures that the game is not merely engaging, but theoretically grounded and structurally coherent. And after that, we're constructing the flowchart using the board game geek taxonomy. It is a taxonomy specially developed for board game, not ordinary game, it's a board game, to strengthen external validity and align with a global recognized board game classification system. We analyze the flowchart elements using taxonomy form, and also we can see here in the table, we map our flowchart into BGG or board game geek taxonomy mechanics as follows. For example, fixed play turns is translated as a turn order sequential in the mechanic of board game geek. And for move based on roll, is represented the roll or spin move or the game or the on the taxonomy board game. And the steps is actually crucial because it situates the design within a global accepted mechanic framework, and it avoids ambiguous or self-defined mechanics, and it allows replication and comparative research. Those the flowchart is not just a visual representation, and it is a mechanically validated structural model. And for the focus group discussion contribution, and Sally, please, for the next slide. Yeah, it is the result of our focus group discussion. I mean, after the prototype development, we conduct a focus group discussion involving practitioners and also teachers and also game developers. And this event is generated two major refinement. Firstly is a visual and structural simplification. Participants indicated that original board game layout was perceived as dense and cognitively demanding for elementary students, and the revision that our team doing is improve color contrast and clearer zone demarcation, and also simplified iconography, and also more intuitive resource placement. And for the next is instructional support enhancement, the focus group discussion participant emphasizes the absence of tutorial scaffolding. So we got a revision related to development of structural tutorial video embedded in the game, I mean the board game, and also STEM project explanation video and clearer rule sequencing. This confirms the user-centered validation significantly improve playability and accessibility without altering the core mechanics. And for the theoretical contribution, this study is in two ways. Firstly is design contribution, demonstrating how educational board game can be systematically aligned with established mechanic taxonomy, and also for the practical contribution, providing a replicability model for designing educational board game grounded in the theory and validated by community storms. And in conclusion, our work demonstrates that educational board game design should not rely solely on creativity. Instead, it should be integrated empirical literature evidence, and also mechanic taxonomy validation and structural modeling, and lastly it's a stakeholder feedback. By combining this element, we ensure that the game is pedagogically meaningful, mechanically coherent, and contextually appropriate. And thank you. I look forward for your question and discussion, and I bring back this presentation to our next yeah, this is the picture of our we have the map and also the cards, and also the cards divided in three ways of learning based on the students' characteristic, and will be explained more in the next speaker. And also I invited Erna Suhartini for deliver the present. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mrs. Rosita. I will continue this speech. In this section, I will explain how inclusive design is applied to a STEM board game through a learning style differentiation approach. In this game, there are project cards that participants use to build environment in each zone, like energy zone, transportation, and etc. Interestingly, on the back of each project card is a scannable barcode. This barcode directs participants to material or instruction tailored to their individual learning styles. In this part, visual, presentation of visual animation and structured activity description on project cards. And part auditory, explanation of activities on project cards that can be accessed through verbal or audio instruction. And part kinesthetic, provision of physical activity instruction and hands-on learning experiences listed on project cards. Through the variety of learning methods provided, students are expected to have the freedom to determine the learning mode that best suits their preference and needs. Okay, next slide, please, Sally. Okay. During the design development stage, validation result indicated that the inclusive content of this STEM board game was rated by experts as very high, with a score of 91.66%. This result indicated that, one, the board game to provide learning experiences based on learning style differentiation. The learning design is non-discriminatory and respect the diversity of student characteristics. The third is student is given space to feel represented and accommodation in learning process. Next, aligned with the principle of differentiation instruction, like content, process, and outcome. And then the last, consistent with the principle of inclusive education, emphasis in national and global curriculum. Okay, Next slide, please. Okay, in this study, we also elaborate on how inclusively designed STEM board games can accommodate gender equality. Especially, we analyze the self-efficacy of students from 3 cities, Balikpapan, Samarinda, and Kutai Kartanegara, examining differences based on gender. The findings are self-efficacy data based on gender revealed no significant differences in the mean scores between between male and female student. However, there are several moderate self-efficacy items. Nevertheless, variations were observed in several subcomponents, where female students reported lower confidence level, particularly in engineering, like science concept to design simple project. This finding is consistent with previous studies indicating that the self-efficacy gap in STEM can be attributed to social expectation and stereotypes, where male students have historically been more encouraged to pursue science and mathematics compared to their female. Yeah, and then next findings is student self-efficacy in mathematical component across both male and female student was found to be at a moderate level, specifically confidence in applying mathematical concept to solve science-related problem and using graphs to explain experimental result remained at a moderate level. This finding is consistent with the study by Petronio, which reported that student average self-efficacy score fall within the moderate confidence category. These findings strengthen the argument that the importance of creating an inclusive learning environment as an effort to improve student overall self-efficacy. This is crucial because high self-efficacy is a key factor contributing to the development of creative thinking skills. And these creative thinking skills are essential for students to design and development in innovative project. Okay, next I will to continue to our research partner, Ms. Nurul.
Thank you, Erna. The last part of this presentation, the conclusion from our ongoing studies. This study highlights the importance of integrating inclusivity, motivation, STEM skills development through gamification. We formulated core design principles and translated them into the integration of gamification within STEM learning in the form of a board game. The title of our board game called the STEM City Sustainable Game. This board game is designed to facilitate diverse learning styles through structures, game cards, interactive STEM challenges, and collaborative mechanics that enhance student engagement. Because it is an ongoing research, we are hoping that we still have 1 more year to continue this. So for further implementation, we expect that this approach will enhance student learning motivation and strengthen their essential STEM skills. All of this research possible because of support from our student that becoming assistant of this research, Anugrah, Eva, Amik, and Riva. Thanks to them, all of the courage to transfer ideas into meaningful reality that empowers every learner. If you have any question or further discussion, please feel free to contact us through Miss Sally email. Thank you very much, everyone.
Okay, thank you very much to the presenters for the insightful and inspiring presentation. Now we will proceed to the question and answer session for both the topics. First, Game Cabby Brain Adventure, an interactive learning media on hydrocarbon, and serious learning playful design, teaching sustainable cities through the STEM City Sustainable Game. We have approximately 10 minutes for discussion. Participants who would like to ask questions may raise your hand using the Zoom feature or type your question in the chat box. Please mention your name and institution before asking your question. Okay, seems like we have already the first question from Rindo Putra from Computer Education. There are two questions that are stuck in his mind. There was mentioned that about Indonesia almost 2045 and talking the government emphasize on STEM or sustainable game. Meanwhile, many students are still have difficulties and struggling with their literature, and how us as a teacher on the future to step up on this case and ensure them the method for the long term. And his second question is how a game can be innovative or effectively develop the student to learn education of the game. Meanwhile, there are some students couldn't find any catchy environment things to brainstorm, mostly the concept or the essentials to motivate them to have interest on the game. Are the questions clear enough, or yeah? How should we do this? Should Pak Kemi and team first? You want to answer the questions first, Mr. Kemi? Hmm? How about Miss Sally team? You want to maybe answer the questions first while waiting for Mr. Kemi's answers?
Okay, I'm trying to answering the question related to the, yeah, because my part of the research, doing game development. And also here we can see that the question is how a game can be innovative or effectively developed, the student to learn education of the game. Meanwhile, there are some students couldn't find any KJ environment things. Mostly the concept or essential to motivate them to have interest in on game. Actually, I found this kind of students when I'm implemented the game last year, and this student is not so into in game. However, we view this as a challenge in developing in game. So we make sure that the game is in line with the learning objective first, so we can make a elaboration on the game design. So when the students got a clear aims or goals, or can answer the question of why must we learn these topics through game, so the game will be more interesting to them, and also to engage the students in game. We have to make sure that the game is having a motivated flow. In the game we have a several game mechanics that will be created a flow that can produce an enjoyment experience. For example, we including the reward, and also we provide some resources. In my cases, we added some tokens, and the student can grab some tokens maybe through the sell and also buying some resources to make their um, to make their I mean, in my board game is actually they have certain places that they can build some of like zone or area that can help the environment qualities increase. So they enjoy those elements of game, and in our case, it helps students to motivate them and keep them engaged in game. So the point is the clear aims and also the clear rules or game mechanics will help. And also for our last focus group discussion, also they mentioned about it has to be a good, I mean, a contrast color that the students, in this case is elementary students, most into yeah, they don't like any game with pastel colors. They have to be contrast in color. Maybe that's from me. And for the STEM things, maybe my colleague will be answering.
Yeah, the first question has not yet been addressed. What about Mr. Sukemi? Do you have something from your experience to share with us to answer the first and second question from Rido Putra? Maybe, sir?
Okay, let me check first the question. There was mentioned that about Indonesia Mas 2045 and thinking about the government emphasize on the STEM or sustainable game. Meanwhile, many students are still have difficult and struggling with their literature, and how as a teacher on the future to step up on this class, ensure them the method for the long term. Okay, I got your. I do hope I got your first question. Actually, this question related to the Miss Nurul and team. Okay, but I try to answer this question. So based on my experience when conduct the teaching and learning, not only in the school, high school, or also in the university. So the first thing that we have to make sure that student, university student and high school student understand about the concept. It is the concept. They have to mastery the concept first, and then after that to make the game. And for example, there is like a STEM science, scientific practice, and then technology and then mathematics applied in the game or in the classroom, yeah, we have to make sure that the student understand first how can I say the concept, and then the games can only the tool that help teachers or educators to make teaching and learning more effective and more interesting and something like that. Okay, maybe Ms. Nuro can give some addition.
Okay, thank you, Pak Kemia. As addition to Bu Rosita mentioned earlier, so each stages of the games, we are trying to make the student have different motivation or stronger motivation to enhance their literacy. So some learning, some reading, and it also depend on their learning style. So we provide 3 different learning style on that games. So we are hoping that the literacy will enhance along the way with the games. When you are playing the games, and then from one stage to another, we have different months at the cards, and then they will learn and then enhance the literacy. That's the case of our game that based on cards. But maybe in different case from Pak Kemi research, the games that based on application, I think there's also some encouragement of enhancing literacy from each step. If you are if you can jump from one spot to another spot, and then you need to read something or you need to do something based on the chemistry topic. That's my additional answer. Thank you, Aulia.
Okay, thank you for the engaging discussion. Unfortunately, due to time restrictions, we must conclude the Q&A sessions. For participants whose questions have not yet been addressed, we encourage you to connect with the presenters after the session. Once again, thank you to all speakers from Mula Warman University for their valuable contributions to this webinar. It is truly inspiring to see innovative game-based learning initiatives in science and STEM education. I will now return the session to the Master of Ceremony for the certificate awarding session. Thank you very much. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you to our speakers and moderators. Pak Hakim, permisi
Okay.
Bapak. Okay.
I would like to say thank you very much for your presentation, for your speakers today. I would like to thank you very much for your share your knowledge and experience. And then virtually I present to this certificate to you. I think that's all.
Thank you so much, Pak Hakim.
Virtually this certificate to this certificate to you for all speakers, Sally, Rosita, Erna, Nurul. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Pak Hakim.
Thank you, Pak Hakim. Congratulations to all our speakers and moderators. All participants are kindly requested to fill in the attention link display on the screen or by scanning the barcode. Distinguished guests and participants, we have reached the end of the International Webinar 2026 Series 1. We would like to express our sincere gratitude to all speakers, moderators, and participants for your valuable contribution. May the knowledge gained today inspired innovative practice in science teaching. On behalf of the organizing committee, I apologize for any shortcoming during the event. Thank you for the participants. See you there. Good afternoon and stay healthy everyone. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you for all committed.
Thank you for our committee.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.